Welcome back to another YouTube Human Design reading, where I take you along the journey of reading a human design chart. Today we have a beautiful 5-1 Splenic Projector chart, and Laverne wants to know how to build her business in alignment with her human design. Let's pop up the chart and dive in. Some of the questions, because she filled in a very detailed intake form. So I want to bring out some of the key components that we'll be addressing throughout this chart reading. 1, how do I build a business with the mechanics of my chart? And am I meant to be going into doing something with coaching and rewiring people's subconscious belief systems? Can tell you right away, before we even dive in, absolutely yes, you're on the right path and it's written all over your chart. So no need to second guess yourself any longer. 2, she has imposter syndrome coming up, totally normal, as well as this fear that she's not here to retain information, which is going to be a really interesting thing to dissect because there are some incongruencies in your chart, which will feel like a bit of a juxtaposition. So we'll dive into that. And thirdly, there is a deep fear of abandonment, and she wants to know how she can get over this because she understands that this is something that will hold her back in business. Now, Laverne knows deeply that she is here to be a multi-millionaire, and she just feels it in her bones. And this is a feeling that I deeply understand myself. And so I'm really excited to dive in and see where this chart reading takes us. I want to start with what it means to build a business, especially an online business, as a 5-1 projector. I believe that we are in a beautiful era right now where we're having to safeguard our futures because of the rise of AI. And because of the rise of AI, the one thing that I have been in deep contemplation about and have even imparted with my clients is that the one thing that nobody can ever replicate or become like is the essence of you, is the frequency of you. Your energy, your you-ness, your authenticity will always create a personal brand. And so it is in the way you view the world, your stories. And for you, this is even in your incarnation cross. So it's going to be an even more prevalent thing that you need to be aware of, is that you really are here to build a personal brand and to share stories, especially about the past and how you get to rewrite the narratives in order to not just change your world, but to change the world. And I can imagine that that's why the souls of your being know that you're here for greatness. And it can also feel very overwhelming and as though you're kind of searching for what is the start point? I want to know where to start. So as a projector, the thing you get to start with is naturally talking about the things that you are obsessed about. And as a projector, you will have different ways of viewing the world, and you will think that everybody views the world in this way. But that is not true. The things that come easier to you in life, or the things that even come easy to you in life, are the things that don't come easy or naturally to others. And so when it comes to starting your social media platforms and just talking about the things that you are naturally obsessed about, it's just about talking about it from your perspective and bringing, because of the 5-1 profile line, bringing about solutions from how you speak about the things that you are naturally obsessed about. So let's talk about belief systems, because I know that subconscious belief systems and rewiring subconscious beliefs is something that you know you're meant to do. Now, I want to go into that further in terms of your chart mechanics and show you just how definitely, yes, this is a journey for you. You've got your defined head and ajna center. And essentially, because of that, this is where you are gifted in having consistent access to these energy centers. And this is where you get to teach on. So you are here to teach about belief systems. You are here to be able to understand belief systems deeply. Coaching and guiding them, however, can sometimes be something that is it's not that it's tricky to navigate. It's just that your superpower would be in guiding people to rewire their belief systems and then coaching them on how that affects their emotions or how that affects their money. Money is something that you can definitely coach and guide on. Energy, in terms of how people will either burn out or needing to find their creative spark, things like that. Those are going to be areas that you get to guide and coach on, but your teaching abilities will lie in subconscious beliefs, belief systems, how you view the world, how you communicate it, and your direction, your purpose, your intuition. Those are all things that you have very deep access and wisdom, like already ingrained wisdom within your being. So belief systems are so the belief systems, I want to just also take a moment on the belief systems, because you also get to be really mindful with belief systems because you've got the defined head sensor, because you've got the defined ajna sensor. What that means is that the way you view the world is very specific. And in order to help people change their belief systems, you have to be able to allow yourself to be open-minded. This is where defined ajna centers in specific can sometimes fall into the lower expression and the shadow of not being able to celebrate how other people view the world because they believe that their way is the only way. And so this is something that I know that I've also had to really learn being a coach and a guide myself, is that sometimes you have to coach people through things that you wouldn't necessarily agree with. And in our training for NLP even, we had very hotly contested debate topics that we had to coach people through, and specifically on the other end of the spectrum where you wouldn't agree with whatever the topic was. So one of the things was abortions, for example. We would have people that would agree with the right to abortion and people that wouldn't agree to the right of that. And we would have to debate as to why and stay strong in our discernment on what was right or wrong in terms of our value sets, and then also be able to respect the other person's view. At the end of the day, it's all about how does that belief serve them? So for some people, they believe that dying at a young age would serve them. But for other people, they don't believe that. And so there could be a conflict of belief system there. But it's all about really getting them to understand, well, for what purpose is it going to benefit you? And for what purpose does this current belief system benefit or hinder you? And sometimes you'll have belief systems that do benefit you in this moment and later on hinder you. So that's just how the ajna needs to really be able to remind itself of keeping open-minded to seeing the world through many different perspectives. Otherwise, you'll be coaching out of the not self there and the shadow. Now, with regards to the 5-1 profile line, this is a very powerful line to have in business because you are here to bring about solutions. Now, I want to start talking about your need motivation within this as well, because your defined ajna, need motivation, 5-1 profile are all speaking a similar language and are also clashing with one another. So having a fifth line as your conscious line, you really are here to bring about solutions. And because you are going to be viewed as a person that can fix everybody's problems and be a magic wand for a lot of your clients to come in future, you have to make sure that you maintain really healthy boundaries. And this looks like saying to people, this is what you can expect from my services and packages, and this is what I expect of you. Because otherwise what happens is that people will come into your auric field, they will see the values and the solutions that you have towards the things that they are being challenged by. They'll be incredibly inspired, know exactly what to do with everything that you're telling them at that moment. And in the moment they leave your auric field, they're going to be a little bit lost. And then they may put or project blame on you for not fixing their problems entirely because they expected you to be their magical solution. And so it's really important to be very clear on this is what they can expect of you and this is what you expect of them as well. Because as you know, rewiring belief systems isn't in the coach or guides, it's not a magical process. You need to do consistent work to rewire belief systems. So that's just something to be very mindfully aware of when it comes to contractual agreements, landing pages. Really articulating what people can expect of you is going to be fundamental to your business. With the one line, you are going to want to be somebody that is very well researched. And so this can sometimes unconsciously hold you back because you'll feel like you need another degree and another degree and another degree. At some point, the one line needs to deeply know that it is time to jump. And this can be a very unconscious pattern. And so just to be mindful that that could crop up is going to be invaluable for you. Now, this is where the juxtaposition comes in. Being a one line, having the Asian center, having the observer environment style means that you are here and you are designed to retain information. However, let's look into need motivation. Need motivation is very amplified with your fifth line energy and being a projector. And essentially, you have this deep need to fix whatever problem presents itself to you immediately. And with this need, you tend to block out things that are theoretical or abstract or philosophical. And it's really more about like the who is in front of you as opposed to the what. So you're going to have a very people-driven mission, which I can totally see in you already. Now, the transference is called fear. And essentially, when you are in a state of feeling like you need to research more. Now, this is where the juxtaposition comes into, because the one line is the researcher. The one line does like to learn. But when you are only trying to figure out through reading and research and you feel disconnected from people, that is when you're actually not in alignment with your design. And so this is why there's a very fine line here with the need motivation and having a one unconscious line in your profile, because you're going to want to do things to the depth, but especially with your Genius to Freak channel, you're going to have knowledge and wisdom that you don't know where it comes from. It just comes, and you do have a strong intuition that you do get to then trust that. But it's kind of like, but surely I should be able to back this up. And that one line is going to want that evidence to back things up. But it's also, if you go too much into relying on the books and the information, that is when you lose connection and touch with what people actually need. So always go back to speaking to your community when it comes to building a business, or speaking to those people around you, because that is what's going to guide you into knowing what people need and how to provide solutions in your business going forward. I want to talk more about your incarnation crest, because this is where your purpose lies. This is your main character energy. This is what will attract people into your world when it comes to creating a world in your business. And I always say that in order to have a successful business, you are creating a world. And how you create your world is through deeply understanding how to lead yourself and by claiming your personal power. And so you are going to have to be the living embodiment of your work. Now, the tripwire I see in your chart is that with your open heart center, that is where your value lies. That is where you will prove yourself. And because that is open, you're going to have that even more amplified. And it's going to be this energy of, I really need to prove myself. I really need to do more than anybody else in the online space. If you find yourself living in the lower expression of your heart center of needing to prove yourself, that's going to pull yourself out of your personal power, because you're going to believe that you need to prove yourself. And the moment you believe you need to prove yourself, you're proving yourself because your subconscious mind is focusing on the lack of value that you innately already have. And how that plays out is, if people need to prove that they're really good at manifestation, for example, they're doing it from a place of trying to convince themselves. And if they're trying to convince themselves, they're already losing the game. It goes back to that whole saying of insecurity shouts, whereas confidence is quiet. And when you have that inner knowing that you already are enough because you simply exist, then it becomes this beautiful dance in your business of, I get to just have so much fun. And that's where the fun and the naturalness will start to come in, is when you realign with, I already have personal power. And yes, my skill set always has room for improvement, but who I am is enough in this moment. And I don't need to be more in this moment. And that's going to be a really beautiful breath of fresh air for you when you anchor into that belief. Now, talking of fun, you've got a third line in your pull sequence, and that is essentially the cosmic reward that you get at the end of going through your life's journey. And for you, it's how you unlock abundance. And how you unlock abundance is by visualizing the fun and the experiences that you'll get to have with the wealth that you create. For you, when it comes to setting milestones for your business, you want to envision yourself celebrating with those that are closest to you, or how you would be celebrating. I've got this line energy too in my pulse sequence. So for me, I always think about, once I've reached this, what would the Christmas party look like? Or what would this event look like? And who would I be celebrating with? Whereas other people will have a very different approach to how they visualize success in their business. Now, success is something that will really drive you. And so you do want people to recognize you. And this goes back again to the invitation. So this is where the invitation becomes quite nuanced in the digital space. The moment you have one person even liking or commenting on any of your social media posts, that is the invitation. And the more you build your community, the more they will recognize the naturalness that you have within you. But it really starts with, do you recognize that yourself? Now, with a projector, it's not just about recognizing your talents and your skill set and things like that. It's also about deeply recognizing where your blind spots are. And when you recognize your blind spots, you're able to rewrite the narratives from the past. The biggest work that you're going to be here to do in the way your chart is configured is to let go of the past and completely rewrite that narrative. And again, with your configuration, that's going to be something that's a bit challenging for you to do, because once you formulate a belief system, once you have that narrative, it takes a lot to undo that narrative. And so remember, and just always give yourself this kind reminder that you have lived with the beliefs that you've had for many different years. And so it is going to be a process of unraveling them. Now, this is where, again, the retaining of information could be a really interesting thing to start to dissect, because if you have this fear of you aren't able to retain information and you're not smart enough, etc., it could be because there are actually memories from the past that are so painful that you've repressed them. And so you've built up this belief of, I can't remember anything, so that it protects you. And that is going to be one of the key things that helps you unlock success in your business, because the moment you can use your origin stories in a powerful way and using your origin story does not mean airing your dirty laundry. And I just want to say that from the start, because that is a question I get asked from projectors all the time. How do I share my story without divulging details that I don't want to share? An example of this is I went through heartbreak. And because of that heartbreak, I went and taught English in Thailand. I don't have to divulge all of the different details of he said, she said, this is what happened, and this is the dirty laundry that I'm going to air. I can just simply wrap it all up and say, I was heartbroken, and that experience led me to going to Thailand, and speak about it from my perspective as opposed to placing projections or anything on somebody else. And so that is how you start to share your experiences without airing dirty laundry, and really honoring the values and the integrity that I know you'll want to be keeping. Business is an incredible journey because it's going to bring up all of the imposter syndrome, all of the self-doubt, all of those different things. And truthfully, the only way to overcome them is to just do it. The more you put yourself out of your comfort zone, the more you will rewire your nervous system up. It is safe for me to do this, because when I went live, when I posted this story, when I posted this, I didn't die. And eventually it becomes easier. And you're not going to have all the information in the beginning, but the more you keep going, the more the information will come and you'll start to learn and discern of different things. I know that you've also said in your form that you've bought a course that has all of the done for you campaigns and the templates and everything, which is brilliant. Use them and then discover your own way of doing things, because as a projector, you will always have an even more streamlined, systematic approach to how you get to do things. And so it's always great to learn the rules. And once you feel safe in knowing the rules, then start to play with breaking them. And that's again what will help you really unfold your business success. Other really cool things to know in starting your business is that you are designed to work in smaller groups, and having group programs with around 15 to 20 people is going to be your ideal kind of way of delivering a course or content, etc. But it's not to say that that is the only way. And it's going to be really beautiful to see all the different projects that you do have, because I know that you're going to need to experiment a lot in your business until you arrive at what works for you, and allow yourself that time and space to experiment, knowing that the first thing that comes up for you is probably not going to be the ultimate end destination, and giving yourself permission to really experiment in your business. Of maybe you do a membership, or maybe you do a group coaching program, or maybe you just start with one-on-ones. Whatever it is that you do, just know that it's going to require some experimentation. To recap the Incarnation class, you really are here to change the perspectives from the past of the stories that you have, and to lead by example. The more you lead by example in every area of your life, you will be an inspiration for others to lead by example too. And then you're also going to have this instant connection to information that's going to be sometimes far beyond its years. And when you wait for the correct timing, it's going to land and people are going to see you as a genius. And that's where that invitation will be really important, to wait for it and to make sure it is the right time. And of course, this is a little known fact about projectors. You can always ask people for the invitation. And so if you have an incredible idea and you would like to launch it, you could say to somebody, "Oh, I've got this amazing idea. It will add value in this way. Would you mind if I share it?" And if they say yes, then share it. If they say no, not right now, it's not the right time, and you have to honor that. And I know that your intuition, that you already have a very strong connection to, will guide you in that. Now, this is what is really interesting with the Genius to Free channel, because I know that you've mentioned silence, and that silence is something that really gives you the most profound breakthroughs. That is because you've got gate 43.1 in your radiance sphere, which is all about the health of your being. And this requires you to be in solitude with yourself, and the shadow is deafness, which means that you don't take time to create the space to listen to yourself. And so it's literally written in your chart that spending time alone to deeply listen to yourself is where you're going to gain the insights from. That's how you will get the knowing, and that is how you will turn on your splenic intuition of, oof, this insight just came through, and your spleen will always know whether it's the right time or not. You don't even need to ask people for the invitation eventually, because your spleen will tell you who to ask for, and the right people will come your way, provided that you are leading yourself with personal power, you're leading yourself with sovereignty, you're rearranging narratives from the past to really help serve you. And the best example, or the best exercise to understand if you are using narratives from the past correctly is, did this happen to me, or did this happen for me? And the moment you can change all of your "did this happen to you" to "did this happen for me's," that is when magic will really happen in your world. The last thing that I want to talk about is part of your purpose is to really keep things simple. You're going to be drawn, and again, this is where I see this in the open heart center, you're going to be drawn into the energy of wanting to prove yourself, and often wanting to prove yourself comes with making things really complicated. And when we make things really complicated, it's because it's from ego of I'm trying to prove how smart I am. And the moment you make things complex is the moment you're going to lose your audience. It's literally written in your soul codes. And so when you can simplify things for yourself and you can simplify things for others, that's when you will find great success in your business. To wrap this all up in a beautiful bow and to just come back to everything. One, as a projector, every single like, comment, or even piece of knowledge that finds you is an invitation to dive deeper into that. The more you just share your insights and your perspectives, especially from your lived experiences, the more people will start to recognize you, and then the more invitations will come. And when those invitations come, they're also going to start to shape and form what your intuition will know what others need. And your ideas will come from a place where it goes beyond words. You won't know how to articulate it in the moment because it will be this deep insight, and it will feel like, I don't know how I know this, but I just know this, and this is what people need. And that is what's going to drive you toward great success. The more time you can spend in solitude with yourself to really tune in to your inner ear is when you'll find the greatest insights and the greatest amount of wisdom coming through to you. And keeping things simple is going to really be a catalyst in your business. You're here to unlock abundance through having so much fun, and think about the end goal of how you would be celebrating certain milestones in your business and with whom you would be celebrating. You are here to provide solutions to people. And for you, it's really about seeing what people in front of you need. And the moment you disconnect from people and you go more into logically thinking about what other people would need, or you're needing to research what other people would need, that is when you've lost connection with the whole process and you're living in your not self. So always just gently guide yourself back to connecting with people. And in connecting with people, you will instantly see what they need. And that is when you can build services and offerings toward those needs. And that will be your biggest guiding factor with everything. Trust your intuition. You've already got so much more knowledge on this than you already realize. And absolutely, you are here to teach on belief systems and guide people into discovering how to change their belief systems. The superpowers that you'll be able to guide people on with belief systems is belief systems around money, belief systems on emotions, belief systems on energy and burnout and stress and anxiety. All of those things are what you're here to guide on, and the beliefs are what you're here to teach on. So I wish you the best of luck, Mama, and I will be watching from the sidelines, witnessing everything that you're here to create. I know it's going to be super powerful. And if you are watching this and would like your own reading, click on the links below, and I would love to dive into your reading too.